And Jonathan Thurston has called time on his NRL career, leading the Cowboys to a 30-26 victory over the Gold Coast Titans. The Sydney Roosters claimed the minor premiership with a 44-10 thrashing of Parramatta.
Recently, we've been hearing about the promise that personalised medicine may hold for the key, I guess, to our health in the future. However, for those involved in the Zero Childhood Cancer program, the future may already be here.
I'm going to tell you about Ellie, who was 11 months old with a tumour so large that it was pushing her heart into the right of her chest when researchers were able to genetically test a biopsy. Now, on life support and no longer able to breathe on her own, researchers were able to match a drug that would best treat Ellie's particular cancer. The results have been remarkable, and to tell us more about it, we're talking now with Associate Professor David Ziegler, who's the group leader of Targeted Therapies Group at the Children's Cancer Institute. Thanks so much for coming in this morning. This is an amazing story, Ellie. Tell us a bit more about Ellie's story.
Yeah, so we started the Zero Childhood Cancer program exactly for children like Ellie, where they failed standard therapy, where they don't have any other options, which is exactly the position that Ellie was in. She had this tumour the size of a football in her chest. Chemotherapy didn't work. It was growing. She was on life support. She was dying, essentially, and the standard therapy didn't work. So the Zero Childhood Cancer program is about taking all the technology that we have in terms of research, in terms of being able to analyse tumours, and using that in order to see if we can come up with a new treatment for each child, an individualised treatment. And that's what we did for Ellie. We took her tumour. We did such an in-depth analysis that it's essentially it was equivalent to having a book with 2.5 million pages, and that took an incredible team of scientists to go through that and try and find a single mistake in that book that would lead us to a therapy, and that's what they found. There was one genetic change, and not only was there that genetic change, but there was a drug that had just been developed that actually switches off that genetic change. Only a handful of kids had actually received this drug. We managed to get it in for her urgently from the company. She started treatment, and the amazing thing, this was just a syrup. It's like taking Panadol that she took once a day, and almost immediately you could start seeing improvements. A tumour which had been incurable was still growing, just started to shrink day by day.
Yeah, you see some pictures here of Ellie which would melt anyone's heart, but given what she's been through, your goal, of course, is zero cancer, and this is what's been achieved with Ellie. She is cancer-free.
She is. So her tumour started shrinking and continued to shrink, and in fact, you know, even after a year of treatment, has continued to slowly shrink. So pretty soon she came off life support. She started to talk, and now if you look at her, you'd never know that, you know, she even had this.
What kind of a game changer has the technology been in this area in terms of shortening the process and making it possible, really?
Yeah, so the technology's been there for a while, but we've really only been using it for research in terms of, you know, helping children in the future. The game changer here was trying to take all that information and get the results back in real time to help each child who needs a change in treatment today. And so
how long was it then from the moment you saw her to where you managed to come up with this tailored cure?
So for her, and in fact for any child on the program, we're now down to 9 weeks, where we can take the tumour, do all this analysis, get all this information, process it, and come up with an answer within 9 weeks, which is what we have to do in order to be able to help these children.
Which really is life-saving, because obviously there's particularly in those advanced cancers, it's a small window, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we need to do it as quickly as possible. It's not always life-saving, but obviously that's what we're trying to do. So what we're trying to do is see how many children we can help. And we know in 2/3 of children where we've done this analysis, we're actually able to find a potential treatment that might help each child.
There might be people watching who have cancer, or who have friends or family who have cancer. How much hope should they have given this story and hearing what you're saying now?
Yeah, so I think this is all about providing hope, to making sure that we leave no stone unturned. We don't want to provide false hope, because, you know, we can't always find a treatment. The treatments don't always work. I think Ellie's story is remarkable, and it's exactly the sort of thing we're aiming for, but not every patient does as well as Ellie. But I think the message is we are we will not leave any stone unturned. We will do everything we can for these children so that if there is any potential treatment, if there's something, the thing with Ellie, we would never have known that this treatment would have been an option for her had we not done this testing. And it's the same for other children. We've now done over 100 children through this program. It's now rolled out around Australia, and in many cases we're finding potential options that we would never have known about without doing this in-depth analysis.
Presumably then, with the advances in genetics and that technology that is available, this will only get quicker and perhaps be available to more people. Are you looking at adults the same, where you can tailor treatment specifically to that person given their genetic makeup?
Yeah, absolutely. There are similar programs happening for adults with cancer, and I guess this we're learning as we go. This is the most in-depth kind of analysis really that anyone's doing in the world. We've now done over 100 children, and we're now following those children to see are they getting changes in treatment and how many children are being helped with this treatment. So this is something that's going to have not only national but potentially international implications as we learn.
So this sort of thing isn't happening around the world. This is world leading.
There are similar programs around the world. We think our program is one of the most in-depth in terms of the analysis we're doing on each child's tumour.
Is it inevitable, David, that in the future someone who is diagnosed with cancer will have this biopsy done? It'll be a lot quicker, and everyone, just by standard, people who have cancer will go through this treatment.
That's ultimately what our dream is, that this becomes a standard. It's not cutting edge. It won't be breaking news anymore. This will be the standard. You have cancer, we do this analysis, we come up with your individualised treatment. So
I guess it all comes down to the drugs too, of course, not just identifying the genetic makeup of the tumour. It's the efficacy of those drugs available.
Absolutely. So that's a huge part of it, and it means working with drug companies. It means working with the government to make sure we have access to those drugs for our patients as well.
And just finally, before you go, David, how's Ellie doing now?
She's doing amazingly well. You'd never know that she was on life support just a year ago. She's just turned 2, and it's really amazing to see. And
you say this is being rolled out for those people. I'm sure there are many people who want to know much more about this. Where should they go to get more information?
So if you Google Zero Childhood Cancer or the Children's Cancer Institute, then you'll find out all about the program.
Right, fantastic. Thanks so much for coming in, David Ziegler.
Thank you.
Now, after years of shying away from the classroom, men are coming back. Edith Cowan University, which is one of the biggest suppliers of teachers in the country, is reporting that there's a 66% increase in male enrolment